Hey guys, welcome back to Ironside Ranch, and like I said last week, we're going down to 2 videos a week now. We're going to go ahead and release this one Tuesday morning just because we didn't get one out Saturday, but we're going to have, from here on out, we're going to try to do it for the summer. We're going to do it Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings, that we'll have our videos out to you. When the summer's over and things go back to a little bit slower pace here, we'll start pushing out a few more videos and try and go back to where we were doing 4 a week. But right now we're just so slammed. I'm having a hard time getting to everybody's comments. I'm having a hard time getting videos out. So 2 weeks is about the maximum we can do. Now, like I said, we are going to focus a little bit more on the homesteading type of videos and getting things set up for livestock and growing and that sort of thing. We've got a lot of really exciting things coming this year. We've got a high tunnel going in. We've got the well going in right now, and that we're putting the video. So y'all that asked about the well video, that should be going in here, and hopefully we have that the well up and running within about the next 4 to 6 weeks or so. So we'll show you all how we did that. In the meantime, we've got our bull going to butcher. Our bull Ace is going to butcher in 2 weeks, and so we have to get our corral and our loading chute better set up for Ace to go. Right now it's set up for heifers and for steers, and so we're going to talk about that today. Before we jump into that though, let me please remind you, if you have not subscribed, jump on there and subscribe. That really helps us out, liking the video, sharing it with anybody you know that is thinking about getting some livestock. All that really helps us out. The other thing is make sure you hit that little bell notification. We're getting told that people are not looks like we're getting blacklisted by YouTube in some capacity, and so make sure and hit that little bell notification so you get alerts when we have new videos out. Okay, so let's just jump into this. So what did we have here? So before, when we built our first loading chute, we had posts on 8-foot centers, and we had, we cut all this white oak on the sawmill, and a lot of this is just scrap wood. That's why it's all different sizes, because it was just a great way for us to use up a bunch of scrap wood and some of those rounded ends and stuff. And so that's why it's not a super even cut. But again, for a loading chute, it's perfectly fine. And we learned a lot of things with our first loading chute, and that's why we're redoing this. And so we made it with 5-inch fence posts the first time on 8-foot centers, and that was perfect for loading heifers and steers. Wasn't a big deal for loading docile cows. The bull has shown to be a little bit more aggressive on the fencing and have some more problems, and so this is why we had to beef this up. Now, luckily my neighbor works for the power company, and he was actually able to get us in contact with somebody over there to get us some power poles, which was really nice. So we've actually built this whole thing now. We've reinforced everything out of power poles. You can see right behind me, we've got 2 power poles here, and so that has strengthened this up a lot. If you don't have access to the power poles, nice thick fence posts are good. An 8-inch thick fence post would work just fine, and so that's what you want to look at, something that's got a little bit more force behind it. So what we've done is we've replaced some fence posts and then gone to 8-foot fence post, or these power posts here. These power line poles we do every 8 feet, and in between those we've run a 4-inch or 5-inch fence post. All at about, this is right at about, 5.5 feet tall or so, and so we might run one more board across the top to make it 6 feet tall, but we wanted this to be sturdy. This board here, the center fence post, I'd pushed too far down, and so that this one doesn't have a brace on it for this top bar, but the rest of them all do. Now, we had staggered those 4-inch fence posts just a little bit outside of the post from the power company, and then that way we could curve everything around it, and so it kept all those boards under tension. And when it was all said and done, everything was all screwed together, everything was really super tight. And we used screws, not nails, to give it that little bit more resistance to pressure and force. Obviously we put the boards on the inside so that the animals are pressing up against it, and it's wood on wood instead of just using the fasteners. But with those boards being curved around, there is no play at all in this whole line, and even these posts are not fully set yet, and there is still just there's absolutely no play at all. They're very stout and very solid. Now, down at the end here, right past the camera, what we've done is we've branched out our loading chute, our original loading chute, into a Y. And right here we put a gate, and that gate allows us to control which side of that Y they go to. The reason that we did that is because one side, what we've done is we've had the the head catch, and we'll eventually add a chute there, but the head catch is there, and that allows us to work the animals down that same pathway. And then the other one is for our loading, so that way when we want to load them, we move the gate over, and that's got to be a heavy-duty gate. We're not talking about a Tractor Supply gate. We're not talking about one like that. We're talking about, I'm going to have to build one out of wood and iron to be able to withstand that, because it is at a point there where the animals are going to hit it, especially if you have a lot of momentum and you got a rowdy bull or something going down there. He's going to ram into it. And so we reinforced that one with the thickest telephone pole that we had, and then we're going to build a nice heavy gate there. Now, going down this loading chute, the dimensions. So here's the dimensions. This one is a little bit wide than what I wanted. We made this one, I believe, 3 feet wide, and that was a little bit wider than what I wanted it. It works well. The bulls can't turn around, but certainly the heifers and the calves can. Now, at the end, the working chute is 28 inches, which is a good all-around number for a working chute. If you have smaller cows, you can go a little bit narrower than that. You go too big and you start having trouble controlling them in there, so that's kind of the issue. So your head catch probably has bolts in there for 32-inch centers, so you're not gonna have a ton of space in there anyway. So, but 32-inch centers is how we've done that. Now we're gonna do a video coming up on how we do the head catch and everything, and we'll show you all that moving forward. The reason we didn't go with a squeeze chute is simply just for the price of it. Unless you're doing a lot of cows, it just wasn't worth it. If I find a good deal on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, we'll take one and jump with it. But until then, I got a free head catch, and I'm using that, and that allows us to work our animals. A squeeze chute would be a lot nicer, but it's just not in the cards right yet. Probably be coming in the future. Now, like I said, we cut all these boards out of white oak. Most of them are about 1.5 inches thick. There's a few that are thinner, a few that are thicker, but like I said, they were all just scrap wood. So we didn't do any type of measurement on our spacing. I put 2 or 3 fingers between it, and that was about all the spacing that I needed. Really, like I said, I didn't really care how pretty it was. I wanted it to look relatively nice, but I really just wanted it to hold the bull. Now back here we have the first step of our corral. This is our sorting corral over here. This no longer has a psychological barrier, right? There's 2 types of fences. There's a physical barrier or a psychological barrier. High tensile fence for cows is a psychological barrier. This no longer has that. At this point in time, they reached the physical barrier. Now the first loading chute is all aluminum corral panels. Aluminum corral panels work really well because they're lightweight and they're easy to move around. Problem is that any of the bulls can pick them up, and they'll trample them down. They'll put their feet on them and just crush them. They just don't withstand that. So we've got our first section there is the sorting area, and that it makes a big rectangle. And we have the ability to open that up into a smaller area and sort them out. Now, in that area, like I said, that is all aluminum panels. Why do we have aluminum corral panels? Simply because I got a good deal on them. I would prefer to have steel, even though they're heavier. You don't end up moving them that much, and gates work better when you want to move them anyways. So if I had my choice, I would pick steel. I get it. Yeah, they rust out over 25 years, but they're just so much more heavy duty and work so much better for sorting. I like them a lot better. This one may eventually get replaced with steel, who knows, but as of right now, what we have is we have those aluminum ones. Then I had 4 pieces of steel panel, and we use those 4 pieces to build a smaller holding chute to kind of keep stepping them down in size right before they go into the loading gate or the loading chute here. And then once they're in here, like I said, we've got this at 5.5 feet. We'll probably add another board across the top and make this 6 feet. Obviously, we haven't added the boards over on this side. And we'll have a really nice stout place to get our cows in. But you have to have that extra strength there with the loading chute as you step them down in size. Now, the easiest way to load them is to open this all up, back the truck up, or back the trailer up to it, put some feed in the trailer, and hope the cows will go in. But if we're on a timeline, that may or may not work. Now, the next thing is right over here to my left. You can see, so this is the smaller corral that we use to get everybody sorted and over into here. So this is the first step in the sorting. We get out as many cows as we don't want prior to putting them in here. This comes directly off of a pasture. The reason we don't have the corral come directly off of a pasture is it can be really hard to get them to want to go in there. So this gives us the ability to kind of drive them in there with, you know, the flaggers, posts, or whatever, the little ratchet or paddle things with the BBs in them, you know, to actually shake them and drive them in. This gives us the ability to do that. If you try to do that out on pasture, they end up just bolting off into no man's land, and you're stuck with a loss of critters. So anyways, so that's why you want to bring them to a smaller and smaller area. So this one is not outrageously big. It's maybe, I don't know, 100 feet long by 30 feet wide. It's not a very big area. This is psychological barrier on the walls. We do use cattle panels, but cattle panels, if that bull wants out, he's getting out. So we'll eventually probably replace this all with split rail fence, because it's kind of on the front of our house area. So we want it to look a little bit nicer than the cattle panels, but that's where we're at right now. Now, this is something that's very, very important to have this. If you try to bring them off a pasture, it can be a real nightmare unless you have multiple people working them, and you're on horses or ATVs or something can actually work them in. If you're stuck trying to do it by yourself or with just you and your spouse, you need something smaller to take them into first. So have this come off of the pasture, get them moved into here, and then from there, you'll move them into the first loading chute on the corral. And then from that, you'll move them into the second area of the corral. And again, just each time stepping it down smaller and smaller. And then from that area, then we want to come off and have our loading chute. There are systems in place for the corrals that'll allow you, things like the round corrals that allow you to sort and push and have the gate and swing and everything. Those are wonderful. They're not practical for small farms because they're expensive. And so until you start making money, you have to deal with something like this. We will probably eventually replace this with a corral that's designed for this, and that will actually be one that is engineered with all this in mind, and it'll work out really well. Right now, we're not making enough money off the farm, and I'm not going to spend $10,000 on a corral system. I'm going to spend, you know, we spent $700 and we got all this stuff with it. So we found it used, and that was a reasonable deal at the time. I found better deals since then. So if you look around you can find good deals. So. Anyways, that's what that's how our general corral setup looks like. But anyways, guys, I really appreciate you all watching. Make sure and hit that bell. Make sure and like the video. If you have any comments, thoughts, anything that you want to know, post it down in the comment box. I can always do a part 2 to this video, and we can answer some of these questions. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it.